Hello, everybody. I'm Amy Ludwig Vanderwater, and I'm happy to be keeping a notebook with you today. Here is Betsy the Writing Camper, and she is happy to be keeping a notebook with you today, too. Fridays are for poetry. Since 2010, I have shared poems each Friday at my other blog, The Poem Farm. Now I will share the same poem idea in both places each week. Today's writing talk is titled Playing with Pattern.
Hi, writing friends. Welcome back. Let's do a high five. Hand up. I'm glad you're here. Today is Poetry Day in Betsy the Writing Camper, and I have two poems to share with you, both written by writers this week, writers who looked out their windows and were inspired to write poetry. So both of these, today's talk is called Playing with Pattern, and both of these poems use a pattern, and I want to share them with you and then offer you the opportunity to try this out yourself. I did, and I really enjoyed it. So Chloe from New Zealand, she wrote a poem that goes like this. I see a footpath. I see a tree. I see a window with a tall tree. I see some rocks. I see the sky. I see the clouds floating so high. And in Chloe's beautiful poem, you can hear and see how each line begins. I see, I see, I see, I see, I see. And this is the pattern that she used. Now, Maddie and Stephanie also used the word I see, but their pattern does something a little different. Maddie and Stephanie are from Western New York like me, and listen to their poem, and I'd like you to listen to how it goes back and forth. It is called Outside My Window. I see a school bus driving down the road full of kids laughing and talking. I see empty streets with no buses driving by. I see horses eating round bales and Abby Joe walking up to get a treat. I see horses all alone with no kids bringing them treats. I see friends playing, running, screaming, having fun. I see people walking alone, not hugging, not playing with each other. I see kids flying down slides, pushing each other in swings. Tag, you're it. I see empty playground swings going back and forth from the wind, no one playing tag. I see people on cell phones, people watching TV and playing video games, ignoring others in the room. I see families playing games, talking to each other, reading books. I see people not realizing how lucky they are for what they have. I see people appreciating nature and health and family and love. I see hope. And in these words, we feel hope at the end. And Maddie and Stephanie went back and forth about what I did see out my window and what I see out my window now. So this poem has a back and forth, a rocking motion that shows the differences between two things that one might see out one's window. So I thought I would try this out myself. But what to write about? Well, that's always the question. And the beauty of having a notebook, one of the great things is if one has a notebook, one can always go back through and say, I'll choose something I wrote about another time. And this time I'll try and write a poem from that. So I went back rereading in my pages to say, what do I want to write more about? What would lend itself well to a poem that has a pattern? And what I finally ended up choosing, and this was inspired by Isabel from Pennsylvania, because I got to read her writing this week about her name. Her name is Isabel, but people sometimes call her Isabella, which isn't her real name. And so it got me thinking about what I'm called and names, and inspired me. I looked here, I had gone through and underlined other places, but I eventually chose here where it said called me. So I'm thinking of names people call me. And these are the two poem drafts that I wrote, and they are just drafts. The first one, inspired by Chloe's pattern and Isabel's idea, is called names. You can call me Amy. You can call me Miss LV. You can call me a cat lady. You can call me strange. You can call me late at night. You can call me your old friend, but do not call me Duber. Only mom and dad can call me that. So this, you can see, you can call me is repeated. And then at the end, there's this change where there's no repetition. And sometimes people call that a list with a twist. That's sort of a fun name to call that. So there's that one. But then I took the very same topic of what people could call me, and I thought this time I'll go back and forth and back and forth. And it's still called names. I'll probably change that, but here's how this one goes. People called me Amy. My dog calls me Woof. People call me Amy. My cat calls me Meow. People call me Amy. My chicken calls me Bawk. People call me Amy. And the moon calls me silently, shining on my quilt. So today, I've been thinking about patterns. Much gratitude to all of you who sent me your writing and have gotten me thinking in different directions. And today you might consider thinking about patterns, choosing one of these or a completely different pattern. Go through your notebook or just pull an idea out of the hat of your brain and choose something and maybe play around with the pattern. Patterns are everywhere. It's a lot of fun to play with them. I enjoyed seeing you today. I wish you happy Poetry Day, a wonderful weekend if it's a weekend for you. It might not be, because some of us have been writing together on the same day of the week, and some people are writing on different days of the week and different times. So we're in different places all over the world and at different times all over the world and on different days all over the world. But all that matters to me is that we're together. So thank you for joining me. It's good to see you again, and I'll see you next time. Take good care.
Here you can see where I played with pattern. On the left, you can see how each poem line, except the end, begins with the same words. On the right, you can see how the poem goes back and forth and back and forth. You can play with pattern too. I hope to see you next time. And remember, patterns are everywhere, in writing, in art, in music, in math, all over our world. Take care.